Like millions of other people, you own a small business. You sell poke bowls, or artisan vegan cupcakes, or interesting wooden artwork, just like millions of other people. But unlike millions of other people, you use Squarespace to stand out from the sea of sameness. Make your business stand out with a beautiful website. Make it Squarespace. Start your free trial today and use offer code SoundCloud to save 10%.
At Russian Embassy. FM Lavrov. No evidence of Russian state interference in US elections has ever been presented. At Fortune, India superpower. At Marty Fox. So the FB announces their nothing burger indictments of 13 Russians with Facebook and Twitter accounts on the same day. News breaks the FB failed to follow protocol on the Parkland shooter tips. What a coincidence. 13 indicted, 17 deadlock them all up. At Funder. Photo Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska, who paid Manafort for his pro-Russia work in Ukraine, is seen in this picture with Yevgeny Prigozhin, who was one of the Russians indicted today by Robert Mueller and Rod Rosenstein. Trump colluded.
In Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This in Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal is over as far as Trump is concerned. This Russia indictment shows the Russia collusion scandal
At
is
your
over
web,
as far as Trump
when
is
the
concerned.
American public finds how many convicts have been released from prison to be the informants, they will be shocked. These are desanctioned drug traffickers operating under color of law. Thank India Cape for bringing John Brennan and Sia into the fee.
This
At Orwell Good. I don't know anymore. At Rap Journalist, at SpeakA and Mr. Speaker. The time for action is now. We know the facts. There are too many guns. How many more children must die? How many more students? How many more teachers? People who are not willing to let you get out of the way.
Давай. Ой, покатилась. Аккуратнее, женщина. Я считаю до 10, вызываю ментов. Раз, два, 3, 4.
Welcome to Breaking News Today. The like button, and if you're new, make sure they hit that subscribe button down below and turn on my post.
Bombshell, Flynn finally did it. Gets ultimate revenge on Mueller over bogus charges. There's no question that Barack Obama did unbelievable damage to our nation, and most of it came in the form of the judiciary, which was just proven in a shocking report about former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Earlier this year, former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn was forced to plead guilty after he was targeted by Robert Mueller's special counsel, which most people believed to be a total outrage. Well, as it would turn out, they were rightfully outraged. According to a new report from the Daily Caller, one of Obama's judges apparently made some shady moves to trick Flynn into pleading guilty, then suddenly recused himself from the case. Nice, right? As it turns out, Contreras was also one of the judges on the secretive court that issued warrants starting the entire Russian ruse. Apparently, Contreras also allowed the prosecution to withhold crucial evidence in the case.
Theresa May calls for
Evidence that the
security
new
agreement.
jurist,
News
Judge
DW
Emmett G.
17.2018
is forcing the prosecution to release to Flynn's legal team and will likely lead to Flynn's guilty plea being reversed. Check it out. Extraordinary manipulation by powerful people led to the creation of Robert Mueller's
Brazil Army
continuing
takes control of Rio
investigation and
security in
prosecution
Gang
of
violence.
General
News
Michael
DW
Flynn.
17.2018
The recent postponement of General Flynn's sentencing provides an opportunity for more evidence to be revealed that will provide massive ammunition for a motion to withdraw Flynn's guilty plea and dismiss the charges against him. It was Judge Rudolph Contreras who accepted General Flynn's guilty plea, but he suddenly was recused from the case. The likely reason is that Judge Contreras served on the special court that allowed the Federal Bureau of Investigation to surveil the Trump campaign based on the dubious visa
Political thriller
application.
Master Custodiavers at
Judge
85
Contreras may have approved one of those
2.2018
four warrants that the judge assigned to Flynn's case now is Emmett G. Sullivan. Judge Sullivan immediately issued what is called a Brady order requiring Mueller to provide Flynn all information that is favorable
Carnival
to
parades
the
from millions
defense,
of
whether
customary
with
news
respect to
DW
guilt or punishment.
2.2018
Just today, Mueller's team filed an agreed motion to provide discovery to General Flynn under a protective order so that it can be reviewed by counsel but not disclosed otherwise. This development is huge. Prosecutors almost never provide this kind of information to a defendant before he enters a plea, much less after he has done so. This is one of myriad problems in our justice system. As Judge Jed Rakoff wrote several years ago, people who
Turkey
are
has
innocent
to
enter
work together
guilty
in
pleas
Syria.
every
France
day.
24.
They simply can no longer withstand the unimaginable stress of a criminal investigation. They and their families suffer sheer exhaustion in every form: financial, physical, mental, and emotional. Add in a little prosecutorial duress, like the threat of indicting your son, and, presto, there's a guilty
Brazil
plea.
Army takes control of Rio
As the
security in
caller noted,
Gang
this
violence. News
usually
DW
doesn't happen.
17.2018
Because the first judge in the case was so crooked, Sullivan was left with no choice but full disclosure from Mueller's team. Now, it appears as if Flynn, who many of us believed to be innocent all along, will be exonerated after all. The only problem is this whole charade has already served its purpose. General Flynn is out of the Trump administration. His career is destroyed, and
Goldman
his
Sachs
life
CEO
is
Blank
ruined,
Finer see the
all
$2
because
million
he
pay
dared to
bump in
join the campaign of
2017.
someone threatening the Washington status quo.
Federal Credit Union branch. If you need to deposit checks, check your balance.
Welcome to breaking news today. The like button, and if you're new, make sure they hit that subscribe button down below and turn on my post.
Breaking news out of the FBI: they just met their worst nightmare. In a shocking admission by an agency that rarely admits mistakes, the Federal Bureau of Investigations has revealed that they received a tip about the alleged Florida mass shooter at least a month before the attack but somehow did not follow
The impact
protocol
of
after
Chechen and
the
North Caucasian
information was
militants in
received.
Syria deeply.
In a statement posted on the agency's website, the FBI noted that it received a tip
Analysis
about the
Iran and
troubled
Israeli
teenager
containment
through
in
its
Syria
public access
deeply.
line that detailed the teen's gun ownership and erratic behavior. In other words, the FBI just publicly admitted that they ignored a key tip that, if followed up on, could have stopped Nicholas Cruz from killing 17 people and injuring over a dozen more. The statement reads: on January 5, 2018, a person close to Nicholas Cruz
Suicide bombers kill at
contacted
least
the
19 in
FBI's
northeast
public
Nigeria market
access
attack
line,
France 24.
PAL, to him to report concerns about him. The caller provided information about Cruz's gun ownership, desire to kill people, erratic behavior, and disturbing social media posts, as well as the
in the Russian
potential
investigation,
of him conducting
clues
a
were lost
school
in
shooting.
translation wired.
Under established protocols, the information provided by the caller should have been assessed as a potential threat to life. The information then should have been forwarded to the FBI Miami field office, where appropriate investigative steps would have been taken. We have determined that these protocols were not followed for the information received by the
Prosecutors seek 18 years in prison for German-Turkish reporter Deniz Yücel Friends 24.
The Miami field office, and no further investigation was conducted at that time. How on earth could the FBI receive such a detailed tip from someone close to Cruz and then ignore it to the point that it wasn't even sent to the field office in the area the alleged shooter lived in? In response to the FBI's shocking admission, Florida Governor Rick Scott is calling for FBI Director Christopher Wray to resign as he was the head of the agency when the tip was ignored and is indirectly responsible for the attack even being allowed to happen in the first place. Scott released his own statement Friday that reads, "The FBI's failure to take action against this killer is unacceptable. The FBI has admitted that they were contacted last month by a person
Life
who
under
called
siege,
them
how
to
people struggle
inform
to
of
survive in
Cruz's
eastern
desire
Syria
to
deeply.
kill people and the potential of him conducting a school shooting. We constantly promote see something, say something, and a courageous person did just that to the FBI. And the FBI failed to act. See something, say something is an incredibly important tool and people must have confidence in the follow-through from law enforcement. The FBI director needs to resign." While most Americans are sure to believe that this was an honest accident by the FBI, one has to wonder if this tip was ignored
Syria
on
2018
purpose,
major
especially
issues for
when
the
you
year ahead.
consider
Syria
the
deeply.
agency's long history of using informants to entrap idiots in what amounts to the FBI staging fake terror attacks themselves. When you add
13
in the
Russians
fact
and
that
total
the
factory
entire
charged with us election
establishment is now
interference.
pushing even more gun control, and you have all the hallmarks of a classic false flag.
Russian indictment
What do you
people,
think?
YouTube, Facebook used
Did
this
the
way as
FBI
politics.
accidentally ignore the tip that could have stopped the alleged Florida mass shooter, or was this a purposeful act designed to allow a mass shooting to happen which could then be used to further erode Americans' Second Amendment rights?
Welcome to Breaking News Today. The like button, and if you're new, make sure they hit that subscribe button down below and turn on my post.
Election polls for 2018 take sudden turn after Democrats go into overdrive against Trump. While liberals have spent the past year bashing the POTUS, Donald Trump has been making
The Black
good on
Panther
his
movie is
promises.
racist. Alex Jones
He's
info hours
bringing
there is a
back
run for your
jobs,
mind.
slashing the government, and lowering taxes. Millions of Americans have seen the impact of Trump's policies.
Federer becomes the
There is
oldest
no
world number one
denying
friends
that the
24.
GOP is actually working to help Americans, and the tax cut bill is a good example of that. Despite all of the positive changes that the historic tax cut law has made for many an American, through bonuses or pay raises, Democrats are still using that bill as
timeline
fodder
of
for
a
cheap
Titan in
attacks
Siege in
on
Eastern
President
Ghouta Syria
Trump.
deeply.
That's not much of a platform for their party. And it seems like Americans are noticing. The latest 2018 election poll has come out, and Americans have made their opinion known loud and clear on which party they trust to carry them on to bigger and better things. From Daily Caller, Republicans overtook Democrats on a generic congressional ballot for the first time since April 2017, a new Politico Morning Consult poll finds. The poll found 39% of voters preferring a Republican candidate to 38% of voters preferring the Democratic candidate. Uncertainty is high, however, with 23% of voters still undecided as to who they will support. The shock poll follows a warning from Democratic Super PAC Priorities USA. The Democratic focus on day-to-day news involving the Trump administration is winnowing advantages in the polls. In the last few weeks, Democrats turned their attention to other issues while Trump has continued to promote his economic policies, and Trump's numbers have incrementally improved as a result, the group said in a stark warning. The Democrats don't have much of a platform anymore. Their entire existence has been about bashing the president. They are driven by hate, not hope. What can they promise Americans in 2018? That they'll bring more illegal immigrants into their states? They'll raise taxes? Or they'll reverse policies that are bringing in more jobs? All the Democrats can do
Russian
is attack Trump
April,
and his supporters.
Facebook used
Their
this way
only
as
hope
politics.
is to brainwash enough people into voting against the GOP, rather than for their candidates. That's not much to go on. Why would somebody blindly vote for a person, just to attack someone else? Make no mistake, some people will do that. Liberals would have voted for the devil if he was running against Trump. But most Americans aren't that stupid. They are seeing the impact Trump is having on the country. The only negativity coming out is from the left. Liberals have done nothing this last year and a half. And America knows. Come November, they're going to be out of jobs. Hurrah! Hurrah!
Welcome to Breaking News Today. The like button, and if you're new, make sure they hit that subscribe button down below and turn on my post.
Pissed off black trucker has huge surprise for lazy freeloaders who won't go to work. Hell yeah. The United States of America has a huge problem with the number of freeloaders who abuse their welfare system. Taxpayers are tired of paying for able-bodied people to get free government benefits because they refuse to leave their house and get a job. Americans are tired of paying for everyone else to get their freebies, while the working class goes to work on a daily basis. Some people work 60-plus hours
The
per
story
week
of
just
JFR
to
Noble
make ends
Hospital,
meet.
41 minutes
But
of
then
hysteria
there's a
deeply.
group of welfare abusers who work 0 hours per week and have no problem getting by. Americans are tired of the unfair abuse, and people are speaking out because they are witnessing crime and theft in person. The taxpayers are getting ripped off by thieves, and one big angry trucker isn't about to watch it happen anymore. Henry Davis was in traffic and wanted the world to hear his message. This video has been viewed over 1 million times and people are sharing it like crazy on social media. You should share it because his message is the one that everyone needs to hear. Here's Henry Davis sitting in traffic and giving the world the message they need to hear. This is free of charge, so people better take his advice and share his message. Henry Davis just admitted something that so many people would be embarrassed to say. He lost his job and applied for food stamps. He needed them to get by while he searched for another job. There is nothing wrong with that. It's commendable and respectable that he took the help only when he needed it. Many people don't do that. Many people take the help, then keep on taking it instead of looking for a job. Henry looked for a job, found it, and now he's sharing his reminder that everyone else needs to get off their backside and go get a job too. Why should Mr. Davis pay for everyone's free ride? Why should you? Welfare abuse is a huge problem in America because some people have adapted into the culture of living off the system.
Who keeps
instead
great
of
trains
working
running
to
Europe and New
create
York
business.
wins
Some
Bronzinski
people want to
Lopez
be a
Thailand Winter
product of their
Olympics.
environment, but others want their environment to be a product of them. There's a lot of people who are unable to get an education and high-paying job. Some of the jobs they're qualified for may not be the best-paying job in the world, so they sometimes take subsidy help when they need it. That's certainly acceptable too because those people also
Germany
contribute to
considering free
society.
public transportation to
Every
take on air
job in
pollution
America
news
is
DW
important and contributes to
13.2018.
keeping our system going in the right direction. Those who want to excel and find higher-paying jobs will find their way to do it. Those who wish to sit on their couch
Winter
and
storm
watch
warning and winter
reruns
weather
of bad
advisories posted
daytime
for the Valley
television or play free
WWLP.com.
games on their cheap cell phone will do it. The problem is that one of them helps society and the other brings it down. Henry's video was a response to Donald Trump's idea of replacing food stamps with food. Some people were outraged when they found out that Trump wanted to cut the welfare food stamps and just send people food instead. If food stamps are for food, then what's wrong with sending food instead? The problem is that some people don't buy food with their food stamps. Just recently an employee at a convenience store was caught in a welfare fraud scheme. He charged people twice as much for their food, charged their EBT card, then he gave them half back in cash and no food.
Drake, Future,
Why would
more in
someone
favor
trade
for with preview
$100
exclusive
in
variety.
EBT money for $50 cash? What were they buying? Wouldn't they be smart to get $100 in food instead? Or were they buying something else, like drugs? The American welfare system needs a massive reform. We need jobs to get people working. We need Americans who abuse the system to be charged with a crime or required to take job training classes. Whatever happens, those who abuse the system need to make a decision.
Business news, markets
For anyone
reports,
who
and
needs
financial news from
welfare to
Sky
get by
News.
because you're unable to work, then don't worry, this doesn't concern you. But those welfare queens abusing the system need to put Henry Davis on their list of people to listen to every day. Every day.
The witness states, "A friend sent me these photos taken in Phoenix, Arizona on July 29, 2017 while driving on the freeway. He was initially taking pictures of the storm clouds but did not see the object in question until later when looking at the photos at
Probing data points. This story blows my mind. Jennifer Aniston, Justin Theroux, no evidence they were ever Ash married bar TMZ.com. When I realized what this was. Jennifer Aniston and Justin Theroux seem headed for divorce court, but based on our record searching sources, they may never have been married in the first place. The couple got married, we thought, at their Bel Air mansion in 2015. We checked marriage records in Alabama. County all the way back to 2010, and there is no record of a marriage license. There's such a thing as a confidential marriage license, but we're told they did not get one in Ella County. They could have gotten a marriage license in any of the 57 other counties in California, but we spoke with some gen sources who have had regular contact with her for years, and they say there's been talk for a long time they might not be legally married. We also checked with numerous divorce lawyers, and no one, as far as we can see, has been contacted by either Jen or Justin. Business news / markets reports and financial news from Skybar Sky News. Wow, check out what's going on. Morgan Stanley is close to winning the top role ahead of the listing of one of Britain's top fintech companies, Sky News learns. Toys R Us is racing to secure SQ funding within days as it faces a sterling 15M bill from the tax one, Sky News learns. The ride-hailing app says it is introducing measures to better protect passengers as it battles to secure its future in the UK. MPs on the Treasury Committee will decide on Tuesday if they are to release the unredacted version using parliamentary privilege. Commerce Department urges Trump to impose tariffs or quotas on steel and aluminum imports. Wild, this is just wild. The Commerce Department is urging President Trump to consider FT tariffs and quotas to limit the import of steel and aluminum, after concluding that the rising flow of those foreign-made products constitutes a threat to America's national security. The recommendations were contained in a report released Friday by Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, whose agency tapped a rarely used provision of U.S. trade law in investigating whether steel and aluminum imports could pose harm to the country's defense or security interests. Trump has promised to take more aggressive trade actions to protect American manufacturers, and the findings by Commerce give the president wide discretion to curb imports, although he could decide not to take any action at all. Trump has until mid-April to issue his decision. Domestic steel and aluminum manufacturers, along with lawmakers from big steel-producing states, have been pressing Trump to apply stiff measures against foreign producers, particularly targeting China. The Commerce Department's recommendations to Trump listed 3 options for steel: a 24% tariff on all imports from all countries, a targeted tariff of at least 53% on imports from a dozen trading partners, plus quotas on steel shipments from other nations, or a global quota that equals 63% of each country's steel exports to the U.S. in 2017. China warns Trump over potential steel and aluminum tariffs February 17, 2018. Found the juicy. U.S. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross on Friday recommended that Trump impose measures against foreign suppliers of the metals in the name of national security, the latest sign of a tougher stance on trade by the administration. Trump has until mid-April to decide what to do. If the United States' final decision affects China's interests, we will take necessary measures to defend our rights, said Wang Hejun, a senior official at China's Commerce Ministry, according to a report Saturday by state-run news agencies in Hua. The short article didn't provide further details on how Beijing might respond. Ross' recommendations came in the middle of China's Lunar New Year holiday when government offices and businesses largely shut down for a week. Related, Trump administration recommends steep tariffs on steel and aluminum. Physics creates new form of light that could drive the quantum computing revolution. Check this. For the first time, scientists have watched groups of 3 photons interacting and effectively producing a new form of light. In results published in Science, researchers suggest that this new light could be used to perform highly complex, incredibly fast quantum computations. The discovery that photons can interact could be harnessed for quantum computing. Christine Daniloff/MIT. Keep up with this story and more by subscribing now. Photons are tiny particles that normally travel solo through beams of light, never interacting with each other. But in 2013 scientists made them clump together in pairs, creating a new state of matter. This discovery shows that interactions are possible on a greater scale.
Generic.
At Stomp. New canon posted about the whole A Pale Horse 1991 book written by Bill Cooper. He responded by at Online Magazine. Northern Syria. According to this media report, Turkish NATO soldiers have executed their Kurdish foes. It isn't clear whether this happened in Afrin or Kurdish Wakar.
الأسيرتين ورميهن فيما بعد في حفرة حيث واصل الجنود إطلاق النار على جثتيهما. وقال ناشطون إن الحادثة وقعت في مناطق عفرين شمال سوريا، وأشاروا إلى أن الفتاتين الكرديتين أعدمتا بعد أسرهن في تلك المنطقة.
A 52-year-old male elementary school principal has announced he is now transgender and will begin dressing as a woman at school. Tom Daniels, principal of Stanley School in Swampscott, Massachusetts. At Orwell Mood. Funny how they don't publish similar articles after a terror attack in Europe or a spate of shootings in Chicago. At the Ilks, at the Hill. According to at the Hill gun control gun control no are pro gun hashtags. At Then Coalition. Lobbyists and pundits might say otherwise, but there is no reason to doubt simple logic: less deadly guns, less dead people. It is a no-brainer taking the masculine as weapon of choice off store shelves would save lives. Florida shooting. It is a no-brainer taking the masculine as weapon of choice off store shelves would save lives. The news George Bear came under fire this week for saying Vice President Mike Pence has a mental illness because he listens to Jesus. At Jacobo Mueller should be prosecuted for misappropriating millions of taxpayer dollars, spending on a totally frivolous investigation. He is such a crook that he couldn't even explain himself to the public, but instead sent out Swampenstein. At Epstein, at Repodomskiff, at Potu, we are calling for the resignation of at Repodomskiff. He unwittingly worked for Russia as a pun spreading lies about our at Potu, so at this time it appears he broke no laws. He has been working for Russia.
Syrien noggrant, och det finns ju en risk nu att den här konflikten ytterligare eskalerar. Det sker ju nästan dag från dag, och en redan fruktansvärd humanitär situation i Syrien som ytterligare förvärras, och förutsättningarna för att hitta en politisk lösning försämras ju också dag för dag. Det här har vi framfört vid upprepade tillfällen till turkiska företrädare, och jag menar att i alla våra diskussioner också från EU-kretsen så måste vi föra fram krav på en demokratisk utveckling, att man stoppar i tusentals har man ju fängslat oppositionspolitiker och de som är misshagliga när det gäller journalism eller civilsamhällesorganisationer. Och det här måste man upphöra med, och man måste se till att man gör framsteg istället för demokrati och rättsstatens principer och respekt för mänskliga rättigheter. Det är de krav vi måste framföra till Turkiet.
Provato oggi dell'insalata, dei mandarini.
Noi vogliamo soldi, qua non va bene. Il nostro albergo non ha wifi, noi andare fuori a cercare wifi 2-3 km, non buono cibo, la nostra colazione, pranzo, cena non buono, noi stiamo a sacrificare, non buono, stasera non buono.
La verdura magari, ma poi tutto il resto bisogna comprarlo.
Dice il riso che ha fatto appena vedere loro non piace.
Ha castagne. Delle castagne? Le piacciono le castagne?
E poi ci trova qualche arancio, qualche clementino e basta.
Oggi il basilico, ma devo ancora girare.
Non mangiare. Nazi. Famiglia male. Non stagiana. Non stagiana. Non stagiana. No residence. Give me those square fruit. No permission. Rice. No spark. No ban.
Fanno la spesa scegliendo tra gli scarti, la frutta meno ammaccata e la verdura meno sciupata. Sono i pensionati di oggi che arrivano al mercato quando gli ambulanti se ne vanno. Non hanno soldi per fare la spesa, nemmeno dove la spesa costa meno. Così si accontentano degli scarti lasciati sui marciapiedi.
Yes, because we want our good meals, our good life and our good changes. Because it's not easy, as we say, we are immigrants and we all come from different countries, and it's because of those.
Non arrivano a fine mese con la loro pensione e quindi cercano tra i rifiuti un qualcosa che magari possono mangiare.
Quanto ricevi di pensione?
100. Io ho circa 600 euro.
Mai avrei creduto che arrivavo in pensione con la pensione e andavo a cercarmi qualcosa di...
Pinochet is a massive stain on her historical legacy. Pinochet was simply appalling human being. At Marina Sinayam. At Breitbart News. On Friday's broadcast of OS Real Time, host Bill Maher stated President Trump is plainly a traitor who doesn't defend his own country. Maher said, Maher Breitbart TV. At Fox News, high school wrestler with Down syndrome wins first match. At Forever Never Trump. Major crimes Mueller hasn't filed a single thing about so far. DNC hacking Podesta hacking June 2016 collusion meeting Mueller's indictment of 13 Russians for interference is just the beginning in unwinding this conspiracy. At Thomas 1774 Payne. A Simeon fighting feminists attack Amy Schumer for being too pretty. Schumer has a new movie coming out called I Feel Pretty, in which Schumer's character, who longs to be supermodel type beautiful, hits her. When a gunman killed 17 students this week at Stoneman Douglas High in Florida, the first response of many classmates was not to grieve in silence. At Jats Shaw. At the hospital with my beloved who has taken ill. Likely here for a while. At Share Blue. Trump's extramarital affairs now pose a threat to national security. How many people have been paid off to cover up Trump's past and how much will it cost to keep them quiet? At 105. So sad and ampersand disappointed by the FBI's Florida screw-up. 17 lives could have been saved. A tip was given to them on Jan 5th. 39 days later this kid shut up a school. With that tip, they could have detained him for terroristic threats and put him on psych hold. They didn't even look. At Zatek. Happy New Year. 300 drones dance in the sky of Guangzhou, China to send New Year greetings. Lunar Year, Chinese Year. At Russian Nambayi. Former CIA Director James Woolsey asked medals in foreign elections but only for a very good cause, says it all.
We all have to work harder to reduce the vulnerabilities that exist and to strengthen resilience against Russian meddling in our own countries. We all have to work harder to reduce the vulnerabilities that exist and to strengthen resilience against Russian meddling in our own countries. I thought I knew a lot about this area, but I must tell you, in the aftermath of the election, and I'm not making a reference to whether anything having to do with President Trump, in the aftermath of this last election, to find out that thousands of paid ads on social media, the thousands of ads we were unaware of on Facebook, the thousands of attempts to meddle and influence American public opinion without having any idea what the source was until recently. It's irrelevant to me who they were trying to influence, vote for or against. They have no damn right. No right whatsoever. Putin has to know the cost of this behavior in the long run will certainly outweigh the benefit it perceives now. Even as we stand firm in our defense of democracy, we can't quit talking to Russia or trying to work with them on critical issues like strategic stability, because the stakes are much too high.
Never afraid French 16-year-old snowboarder Pereira wins surprise Olympic silver France 24. Carnival parades draw millions across Germany. News DW 12.2018.
President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
The fundamental question of our time is whether the West has the will
Ethiopia under state of emergency following Prime Minister's resignation.
This
DW
is an historic moment
72.2018.
from which there can be no turning back.
Federer becomes oldest world number 1 France 24. US will impose costs on Russia for cyber aggression, says cybersecurity czar.
time Ashton returns. Here we're going.
Israeli archaeologists in North Roman News 8 News DW08 2.2018.
NATO on a stage at the Munich Security Conference. Coming up in the show, could a forced resignation of President Jacob Zuma herald the end of the neoliberal Mandela legacy in South Africa? We investigate NATO
Magnitude 7.2 earthquake rattles Mexico, leaving nearly a million without power for 24.
Doomsday clock ticks ever closer to nuclear Armageddon. We speak to the unofficial war artist Peter Kennard and the head of CND about Trump, North Korea, and 60 years of the campaign for nuclear disarmament. Plus, as London streets turn into catwalks for London Fashion Week, iconic designer Dame Zandra Rhodes on whether Brexit may spell the end of any future cool Britannias. All this and more coming up in today's Going Underground, but first, it's no surprise that when it comes to enemies, today's Munich speech by Theresa May will name-check Russia. She's done it before.
Russia has fomented conflict in the Donbass, repeatedly violated the national airspace of several European countries, and mounted a sustained campaign of cyber espionage and disruption. This has included meddling in elections and hacking the Danish Ministry of Defence and the Bundestag, among many others. It is seeking to weaponize information, deploying its state-run media organizations to plant fake stories and photoshopped images in an attempt to sow discord in the West.
Anyone seeing Wednesday's episode of Going Underground will have seen the ambassador of the Russian Federation to the UK deny serious allegations like that.
In Homs, Assad accused of using military for a plan in Syria deeply.
Like these from the head of the CIA, who will be in Germany today.
It seems that the world is stunned that the Russians are trying to poke their hand into U.S. elections and policy. This is not a new phenomenon. The technology is different. The tools that they use are different. But this was a threat in 2016. It will be a threat in the midterm elections in 2018. It will be a threat in 2020. Until there's a new leader in Russia, I suspect it will be a threat to the United States for an awfully long time.
Well, arguably that Kool-Aid has certainly been drunk by another European leader who this week appears to have threatened unilateral action in Syria. Here he is damning the journalists at this TV channel.
On va se dire les choses en
Copycat
vérité.
of Facebook tried to squash Snapchat Wired.
Et Sputnik ne se sont pas comportés comme des organes de presse et des journalistes, mais ils se sont comportés comme des organes d'influence, de propagande et de propagande mensongère, ni plus ni moins.
In the Russian investigation, clues were lost in translation Wired.
About his idea of what journalism is, especially when it comes to French
MSC Chief Ishkinger warns of high global danger of war news DW16 2.2018.
Colony of South Africa this week. The state of Africa, its continued looting by neoliberal institutions goes virtually unheard in NATO nation media. This while the ordinary peoples of NATO nations generously donate to charities which in the UK have now been revealed to be less than perfect. We'll have more on charity from Save the Children on Monday's program, but joining me now from Port Elizabeth is
Climate will be a recurrent theme throughout the Berlinale film DW15 2.2018.
at the University of Witwatersrand School of Governance in Johannesburg. How do you characterize the talk left, walk right policies of successive ANC governments, let alone
Let's take a look around. Found the juicy. I found this in the dark corners of the internet. It was very scary. With Syria's healthcare system crippled by conflict, women and children are dying from treatable illnesses. One doctor and his team are providing them safe, dedicated medical care by building hospitals below ground, out of the reach of airstrikes. Turkish court sentences 6 journalists to life in prison over 2016 failed coup. France 24. I find this particularly fascinating. International News 24/7. Text by Friends 24. Follow Friends 24_ on Twitter. Latest update 2018-02-16. Those sentenced on Friday include Ahmet Altan, the former editor-in-chief of Taraf newspaper, his brother, economics professor and journalist Memo Altan, and prominent journalist Nazlı Ilikuk. The Altan brothers were charged with giving coded messages in a television talk show a day before the abortive July 15, 2016, military coup against President Recep Tayyip Erdogan.